Shalom. I want to say all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and set a good example for the Akim. And I want to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect brothers out there that's doing this work in sincerity and truth. And I want to do a lesson regarding the race riots because just recently they just selected, the elites just selected Donald Trump into office. And if you have been paying any attention to the presidential campaign for the past 6 to 7 months, they've had a slew of different things that Donald Trump has been saying that straight let you know that if you're in the knowledge and you're in the light, you know that these things that he is saying is the Most High putting the spirit on him and his administration to say these things to brew up these race riots. It's already been racial tension for the past year and a half, 2 years, but the way these cops are shooting the Southern Kingdom brothers down left and right. So with that being said, the only thing left is it has to start with Judah, the Southern Kingdom, then it's gonna move over to the Northern Kingdom with the Northern Kingdom brothers, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. So the scripture lets you know that Judah and Ephraim was oppressed together, so they both gonna catch that hell together. So right now, for the past year or so, they've been gunning down a lot of the so-called Negroes, the Southern Kingdom tribes, and the only thing next is that the Northern Kingdom got to catch that. They got to catch that same tribulation, that same treatment that the Southern Kingdom has been faced with. And Donald Trump has been boisterous about how he feels about the so-called Mexicans, which are brothers from the tribe of brothers and sisters from the tribe of Issachar. But it goes beyond that. It goes because there's a lot of brothers that are Southern Kingdom. I mean, it's like the Northern Kingdom, but they look like the Issachar, but they could be Zebulon, they could be Gad. They could be a numerous amount of the Northern Kingdoms, but the Northern Kingdom is all throughout the United States. So first scripture I want to get into is Zechariah. I'm gonna start at the top, Zechariah 12:1. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens and laid the foundation of the earth, and formed the spirit of man within him. Behold, behold, I will make Jerusalem of a trembling unto the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem, because that's what you see brewing up right now. The siege is developing now, because this man Donald Trump, which Apostle Tahar brought it out. Donald Trump, it basically means the word Donald, if I'm not mistaken, means like the ruler, and Trump means like wickedness. So like he's gonna rule in a wicked way, rulership through wickedness, roughly paraphrasing. And what he's been doing is a lot of the things he's been saying. He wants to build this wall, and he wants to deport the so-called illegals in the United States. Now, he only mentions like really the Mexicans. He's basically indicating that he's talking about the Northern Kingdom, but there's plenty of other illegals who consider illegals in the country. You got so-called Asians that are illegal. You have Middle Easterns that are illegal. You have so-called Hamites, so-called Africans, which are Hamites, that are illegal. They're all here on green cards or on visas and stuff, and they're working, but they're not. They don't have citizenship. But he doesn't really mention these other nations. I mean, it goes down the line for all the different 18 nations. They have their people here illegally, but he wants to single out the Northern Kingdom. And so, with that being said, that's part of being in the siege, because basically this so-called society is set up to besiege against Jerusalem, which is the nation of Israel. Verse 3, and in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. When you look that word burdensome stone, basically mean that burdensome means like a load, like a heavy load, and the stone is basically that's what the Most High say he's basically gonna do is he's gonna make Jerusalem a heavy load on these people, and we already know that load ain't talking about no nothing like like an actual load. It's talking about how he gonna put the spirit on Jake to be whooping these other nations' asses, man. Excuse my French, but that's what it's gonna be like. When you look, if you get on YouTube and just type in the different race riots and racial tension, you always see Jake just giving all these other nations the business, and that it ain't gonna be no different. These other nations they gearing up for it. See, they ain't got the spirit on them, but the Most High has got them getting ready because they can sense there's something into something like they would call it something in the air. We got to get locked and loaded. We got to come together. They gonna do all that stuff, but what's gonna happen is the Most High is gonna pour out His spirit amongst Israel, and Israel gonna at first they're gonna be trying to deal with Israel, but the Most High when He let loose His spirit on our people gonna be tearing these other nations a new one. It says, "In that day I will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with this shall be cut in pieces. Through all the people of the earth be gathered together against it." So like though all the people of the earth be gathered against it. "In that day, said the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. And I will open my eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their hearts, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and the Lord of hosts their power." So the Most High is going to give Jerusalem. They're going to give Judah, which represents the southern kingdom, and Jerusalem represents the northern kingdom. All together, you combine them two kingdoms represent the nation of Israel. He going to give them His strength, which is their power. "In that day will I make the governors of Judah like the hearth of fire among the wood." If I'm not mistaken, that word hearth, let me look it up. I believe it means like to kindle or to start. Pot, basin, lavin pan, pot, cauldron, fire pot, brazier, lavern, platform, stage. So basically, the Most High is gonna use Israel as a pot of fire. All right. "In that day will I make the governor of Judah like a hearth of fire among the wood, like a pot of fire among wood, or a pan of fire, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, and the glory of the house of David, and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them in that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as the Most High, as the angel of the Lord before them." So you may see a guy that you may think that, man, he ain't a big man, or he ain't strong or whatnot, but he gonna be as King David. Now that's gonna have that spirit gonna be on the nation of Israel when they in those race riots, but really that's gonna be on the servants of the Most High. The Most High gonna put His spirit upon the remnant, the elect men, and they gonna be like mighty men, like King David's army. "And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Because these other nations, they go just like the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, just like the nation Israel. You're gonna have blacks, Hispanics, Native American, and Seminole Indians gonna come together and with one another and gonna be fighting against these other nations. These other nations gonna be coming together because they gonna have no choice. Like, damn, we need to come together and fight against these. Well, they ain't gonna say Israel, but they gonna say we need to come and fight against these so-called Negroes and these Hispanics, these Latinos. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and supplication, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one that mourneth as one mourneth of his only son, and shall be in bitterness from him as one that is in the bitterness of his firstborn. Well, that's it on that. I should have just stopped at verse 9, but the next verse I want to go into, the next scripture is 2nd Esdras 13 and 30. It says, "And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another." That's short and to the point. That's your race riots right there. And the last scripture I want to jump into was Zechariah 9 and 12. It says, "Turn ye to the stronghold, ye prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render unto thee. And when I have bent Judah for me, and filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and made thee as a sword of a mighty man." So the Most High said he's going to bring together, he's going to bend Judah and fill the bow with Ephraim. That represents like a bow and arrow, a weapon. So the Most High going to have the nation of Israel come together, the northern and southern kingdom, going to come together as a weapon, and he's going to raise up thy sons of Zion against the sons of Greece. The sons of Greece represents the so-called white man, these Edomites, and the other nations fall up under that. It's verse 14, "And the Lord shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning," meaning that arrow represents the nation of Israel. "And the Lord power shall blow the trumpet, and shall go with the whirlwind of the south. The Lord of hosts the Lord of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour and subdue with slings, stones, and they shall drink and make a noise as though wine, and they shall be filled like bowls, and as the corner of the altar." So that's talking about the elect, man. It's talking about when it talks about the arrow going forth, and it says the bow, and it says that he will blow the trumpet as a whirlwind in the south, and the Lord will defend them. That's talking about the elect. The Most High gonna defend the elect men, and he's gonna defend the elect men's women and their children during this time. And the Lord their power shall save them in that day as the flock of his people. Talking about the elect, 144,000 and the 1/3, and which represents the elect of Israel, the remnant. "For they shall be as the stone of a crown, lifted up as an ensign upon his land." So they're gonna be used when the elect is being defended. When you shall know who the Most High's chosen is, they're gonna be an example, an ensign, a sign upon his land. "For how great is his goodness, and how great is his beauty! Corn shall make the young men cheerful, and new wine the maids." So when this thing goes down, you're gonna have not just regarding the different plagues that's gonna be happening, but the race riots are gonna come. That's a major part of a prophecy that we see unfolding in front of us now. When the race riots kick off, then shortly after race riot, because all the different plagues, all the different signs of the scriptures that tell you that's leading up to this, it's all going to happen simultaneously, one after another, quick, fast, like a woman with travail. When a woman like when a woman's water bursts and she's ready to deliver that child, it's gonna be the same thing, man. It's when these race riots kick off, we gonna know it's gonna be a famine of the word. Then the race riots gonna kick off, and Most High gonna cover His elect, and then next thing you know, you're gonna have World War III kicking off. You got other prophecies that's gonna come to pass, uh, like the chip, the issuing in the chip, and the U.S. invading Iran. But one of the major prophecies that we see this happening before our eyes was Donald Trump getting into office, and he's speaking in the ways to let us know that these race riots is right around the corner. With that, I hope brothers was edified. To the next lesson, I want to say all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who continue to rule well. And peace and salutations to the hopeful elect brothers out there that's doing this work sincerely. Shalom.